During my middle and high school days, it was a wealthier district, and a lot of field trips were offered to the students. I was a member of the chorus, and every year we did take at least one or two optional field trips. We took a trip to Woodloch Pines Resort in Pennsylvania. The bus ride to there took a few hours, and I was with my friend Larry. We were going to be sharing a room. From the moment we got there, we figured it was going to be pretty dead. It was November after all, so it was cold up there. We had a 3-day plan for the trip, and there were 4 chaperones. They weren't really following us at all times. We just had to tell them what activities we'd be going to do. The first day was fun. Larry and I, along with 2 girls who we were friends with, did some rock climbing and other things. Then we went back to eat dinner. After dinner, we went back to our room and just hung out for a while. For the record, not all of the students were able to get rooms next to each other. The room with ground level, and there was a clear sliding door that provided a view of the lake down the hill. We went back out for a while, then came back to the room at about 10 o'clock. We left the blinds to the door open because the moon was giving off a cool reflection on the lake down below. Little did we know that would be the start of a nightmare. If I had to guess, I would say it was a whole hour of us just rolling around in both of our beds, trying to get comfortable, occasionally talking before Larry, whose bed was closer to the door, screamed. I had no idea what was going on, why he could have been screaming at the top of his lungs, or if it was just a joke, a lame one, until I looked at the door. It was a sight straight out of a horror movie. There was a really tall, skinny, old woman with long hair, gray hair, standing on the other side of the door, with her hands cupped up against the glass next to her face, as if she was trying to see better into the room. The woman then walked away. Larry looked at me, I guess waiting for me to get up so he would have the confidence to get up as well and run outside after her. When we did, we couldn't find her anywhere. There was nobody on the surrounding grass, nor anyone walking down the hill. We both saw the woman though, so we knew we weren't seeing things. The next day, we didn't tell any of the chaperones, but we told the 2 girls who we were friends with. Night came once again. After a long day of many activities, we entered the room through the back door and made sure to shut the blinds. This time, Larry fell asleep before me. I fell asleep around half an hour after him. I woke up to silence. I couldn't tell if something had woke me up or not. All I knew was that I didn't feel right. I sat up and whispered Larry's name to see if he was awake. He didn't answer, so I turned left out of pure instinct and curiosity to look at him, but I couldn't see him. Something was blocking my view of the other bed. I looked up, and towering over my bed was the tall old woman. She took 2 steps back and said, "Your back door was unlocked," before turning around and walking outside. I was frozen in that bed. Of course, if you ignore the part that I was shaking so much, it was like I was dying of cold. I woke up Larry and, stuttering, told him what happened. We locked the back door, shut the blinds once again, and agreed to stay up for the rest of the night. By 8 o'clock, we went to the dining hall to eat breakfast. When we go back to our room, ready to tell our chaperons, we could see the old woman through the glass of the neighboring room. She was sitting on the bed. She was staring at us. We got scared and ran to the front desk in the lobby building to report her to the staff instead of the chaperons. It was weird, none of them really knew what to do, and the situation. Eventually, we persuaded them to come to the woman's room with us. There, they found the woman sitting in the same position facing the glass, along with an elder man sitting beside her. Apparently, the woman and the man sitting beside her had some kind of mental disorder, and the staff couldn't do anything about it. Long story short, after a lot of arguing between chaperons and the staff, we had to end the trip early, and we all went home. Me and Larry were just happy to get out of there. The school bus rumbled along the narrow, winding road, taking our class deep into the heart of the dense forest for a supposed educational field trip. Excitement buzzed through the air as we chatted about the day's adventure. Little did we know, the veil of enthusiasm would be soon be turned away, revealing the horror that awaits us. Our destination was an abandoned asylum, a decaying relic of the past, with notorious history. The bus finally screeched to a halt in front of the imposing structure. A sense of unease settled over me as I disembarked, the heavy wooden doors looming like the entrance to a forbidden realm. Our teacher, Mr. Thompson, led the way, brushing off the nervous whispers with assurance of safety. The asylum corridors echoed with each hesitant footstep, and the air hung thick with a musty scent of neglect. Dim flickering lights cast eerie shadows on the peeling wallpapers, creating a haunting beyond that sent shivers down to our spines. As we delved deeper into the asylum, the atmosphere became increasingly oppressive. Cold drafts whispered through the abandoned hallways, and distant creaks reverberated like ghostly murmurs. Unsettling drafty adorned the walls, hinting at a darker presence that lingered in the forgotten corners. The group reached a set of heavy metal doors leading to the asylum basement. Mr. Thompson declared it as an opportunity for an unique learning experience. The doors groaned open, revealing a dimly lit staircase that seemed to descend into the abyss. Descending into the subterranean gloom, the air became denser, and a sense of foreboding settled over us. Shadows danced along the damp walls as we navigated the labyrinthine corridors. The flickering lights cast fleeting glimpses of rusted hospital beds and discarded medical equipment, remnants of bygone era. A distant sound echoed through the tunnels, an eerie mixture of whispers and distant footsteps. Panic flickered in Mr. Thompson's eyes, but he dismissed it as a product of our imagination. The darkness seemed depressed in on us, an invisible force that heightened our unease. Suddenly, the flickering lights extinguished, plunging us into pitch darkness. A collective gasp escaped our lips as we fumbled for flashlights, their feeble beams revealing a sense of desolation. Mr. Thompson's voice trembled as he urged us to stick together. As we stumbled through the blackness, the whispers grew louder, indistinct, yet laden with an otherworldly malevolent shadow seemed to detach from the walls, taking on different forms that slipped through the darkness. Fear not at our courage as we pressed on, disoriented and desperate for an exit. The basement labyrinth stretched endlessly, our surroundings morphing into a nightmarish maze, and an unsettling laughter echoed through the corridors, sending shivers down our spines. Panic set in as we realized we were not alone in the suffocating darkness. The nightmare reached its climax when we stumbled upon a room filled with forgotten patient records, each one telling a tale of suffering and despair. The realization that the asylum tormented past had not left behind fueled our terror. In that lightless abyss, surrounded by the echoes of anguish and unseen horrors that lurked within, our field trip had developed into a descent into madness. The once exciting promise of exploration had transformed into a chilling ordeal, leaving us haunted by the ghosts of a forsaken asylum past. A few years ago, my scout troop embarked on a camping trip in a remote forest known for its dense foliage and rugged terrain. The forest was untouched by any civilization, its towering trees blocking out most of the sunlight, even during the day. On the second night of our stay, we decided to explore a narrow trail that wound deeper into the wilderness. The air was cool and crisp, the earth hissed a pine of needles and damp soil filling our senses. The only sounds were the rustling of leaves in the distance, cause of nocturnal animals. As we walked, we noticed strange markings etched into the trees, symbols and signs that seemed out of place in the natural surroundings. Some of the symbols were faded with age, while others looked fresh as if recently carved into the bark. The symbols seemed to be a mix of ancient ruins and odd geometric patterns, each one more intricate than the last. Suddenly, we heard voices ahead of us, low whispers in a language we couldn't understand. We froze, exchanging nervous glances, unsure whether to proceed or turn back. The voices grew louder, accompanied now by the cracking of twigs underfoot. Before we could react, a group of hikers emerged from the trees ahead. Their faces were obscured by mud and leaves, making it difficult to distinguish their features. They were dressed in tattered clothing, and their eyes had a wide, almost frenzied look. They spoke hurriedly in a foreign tone, their voices filled with urgency and fear. One of them, an older man with a long, unkempt beard, stepped forward. In broken English, he warned us to leave the area immediately. His words were fragmented and cryptic, but the message was clear. Danger, you must go, not safe, they come. He pointed towards the deeper part of the forest, his eyes wide with terror. Their urgency and the strange symbols left us shaken, prompting us to retreat back to our campsite without further exploration. As we hurried back, I couldn't shake the feeling that we were being watched, that unseen eyes were tracking our every move. Back at camp, we tried to make sense of what had just happened. Who were those hikers and what were they doing deep in the heart of the forest? The encounter left us with an uneasy feeling, a reminder that even in the tranquility of nature, danger can lurk just beyond the beaten path. That night, we sat around the campfire, but this time, no one was laughing or no one was excited for new exploration missions. As we sat, we got a feeling that someone or something was watching us. Unseen eyes were watching us from the bushes around us. Every rustle of leaves and snap of twigs sent chill down our spines, reminding us of the mysterious figures and their cryptic warnings. The fire, cast eerie shadows on the surrounding trees, making the forest seem even more ominous. One of the troop members, a girl named Sarah, suggested that the same pools might be some sort of warning. Long story short, we got out of there as soon as we could and reported the incident to authorities. We never forgot and we'll never forget about that incident. The faces of those hikers, their way of clothing and the unknown symbols still haunts me. To think about what could possibly scare them, what is lurking around the corners of that cursed jungle.